What strategies can leaders implement to ensure diversity and inclusion efforts are integrated into all aspects of their organization? So we've touched on it on the AI space, but any other types of operations or decision-making processes that maybe both of you have experienced so far?
Yeah, I can add one practice from SumUp, which I found really helpful. And this is so really embed diversity and inclusion in your company's values and make your company's values also visible. And one thing we do in the hiring process, at the end, we have a so-called bar raiser interview, where we are not interviewing for hard skills, but we are interviewing for values. And diversity and inclusion is one part of this. And we have strategies to assess like what the candidates think and yeah, is it a topic for them? And so making this bar raiser interview, in that interview, you solely focus on values, attitude, work values, and not on skills. And I found this really helpful when you have then the decision panels to bring this unique perspective.
I think, Mike, adding to that, I would say, starting with the strategy of awareness itself. So when we talk about the DEI initiative, when people or startup founders are talking and they ask this question, when should we start? And my response to them is usually, if you should start now, because of all our learnings. When we've reached those many thousands, then we realize, oops, then we have to start from the drawing board. So it's always good to start when you have the 10th employee already in your organization. And the first step is awareness. We had today, this is the Disability Week that we are going through in our organization. And we actually had an excellent session with Claire Harvey, who's one of the Paralympians who also shares her experiences. And it was very interesting to understand the different kinds of disabilities that are there. And she was sharing very practical tips for managers, leaders, on how you can make your teams inclusive for disabled people and disabled employees. And there were so many interesting things. And this is the first stage, so awareness. As much and as this could be a part of your campaigns, that could be the first strategy itself, and creating that awareness across the organization on different types of diversity. The second would be around talking about, okay, then how do you execute this, or making it instrumental. And one of the things, Michael, I saw you like that post, so I'm going to refer to the middle managers here.
Yeah.
Like we heard earlier from Elisabeth, that one-on-one, that connection with the middle manager. It's not that the CEO can come and talk to every employee. We're talking about any organizations which are 3,000, 30,000, but also 300,000. So if each manager is enabled with this, it's going to really go to the grassroots level. And that's where we work with an agency called EDIT, who supports us on certain activities, and they've helped us introduce a tool called Meetings in the Box. Basically, this is a tool designed to enable managers to have a conversation around diversity and inclusion within their small teams, which they can create a safer space, a smaller space, but talk about real serious and sensitive topics without having certain fears. And this is a tooling which is enabled. They've designed this and they enable this. And there are different ways of doing this, but that's another way of really drilling this down into the managerial level. And the third is what I was talking about earlier, in each people process, ensuring that you have either an audit, you have a step. If you have ERGs or BRGs in the organization, then you have ERGs and BRGs also having a say or having some kind of a view of the bigger data points. What could be a bigger data point? When you are done with your appraisal process, looking at the percentages of women who are promoted, looking at the percentage of men who are promoted, you can always pass this by your women's ERG or BRG in the organization and see whether it's improving over time, whether the balance is being reached or not, and what more could be done. So that's another way of driving a strategy through ERGs and BRGs as well.